Happy Monday, everyone. We are back with another exciting update with you here on the Widow Walk. November has been full throttle, y'all. It has been full throttle and more things are ahead. And today is going to be a little bit of a study. So I got the opportunity to speak the second weekend in November, just a couple of weeks ago in Gaston Lake. And it was 13 ladies, 17 in all. And you know, I love that number. And we got to be in a home, looking on the water in this beautiful fall weather we're having. It was sunny. It was not too hot. It was not too cold. There was a breeze. And I was given the opportunity to share. And this time we were given more time. And so what do I mean by that? I was given 4 hours, y'all. 4 hours to explore with these ladies. And let me tell you, it was fun. It was fun. And so I wrote down I asked the Father, do I have a new message? Is there something new to share? Or is there something that I already have? And I thought it was going to be something new. Like I figured it would be something new because typically I don't repeat a lot of messages. But I've been really feeling something about this blooming womb. And I wondered if that was going to be it. And then what I wrote down, that it was going to be about showers of blessing. And this is what really sparked it all. The alabaster jar moment. The alabaster jar moment. And that got this girl curious. Okay, so I have been watching season 4 of The Chosen. And I had finished it sometime back late summer, I guess. And one of their final episodes for season 4 was the scene of Mary washing Jesus's feet. And it was powerful. And then I thought, you know what? These pillows. I'm going to read all the accounts, all 3 accounts in the Gospels about an alabaster jar. And so I want to read to you some of my notes, just like we were there. So I need you to imagine this day. So we were a few minutes late. I took my sister and 2 other friends to be part of my team, and we had plans. So this is going to give you a glimpse of a retreat type style of what Micah and her team are able to bring to the table. This was not a group of widows, y'all. This is Micah doing some sending and mending, as I like to call it. So I'm being sent to mend hearts and share my testimony and from the Word. And so we got in there, and there was a plumber at the house. First thing. Okay, let's actually go back. Let's go back. So I met with the team on Wednesday, the Wednesday before the Saturday I was speaking. And I felt good that morning. I thought I felt fine. And then we pray. We had the names of the ladies. We were praying over them. We were strategizing about things that we may want to have. And after they left, I started to feel off. And by 4 o'clock, I had a fever. By 6 o'clock, my fever was up to 102. So I'm laying flat on the couch. I've never had an experience where I met together with my ministry team, and by the time they left, I'm going down for the count, y'all. I am going down for the count. Never had it happen. And so I said, okay. I just buckle up, folks, buckle up, because something's going down if Mike is getting sick. And so I had to call the prayer warriors. I had to call the lady who asked me to speak. And I said, I really don't think this is going to last, but I'm down for the count right now. And it was a 12-hour fever. I don't even know. By the morning, it was gone. So from 4 to 4 a.m. or 6 to 6. When I woke up, my fever was gone, never came back. I felt sore all Thursday. Friday, my energy started coming back. Saturday was go time, y'all. So it's crazy. So that happened first. Then we get there, there's a plumber, and they say, oh, the basement toilet has exploded. It's exploded down in the basement where the other bedrooms and bathroom was, and it smelled like sewage in the house. And I'm like, classic. Okay. Second distraction, if you want to call it. I'm not going to even call it a full attack here, but there were some things trying to get our minds off of the whole point of the meeting. And Micah, she just laughs at this, okay? Micah's talking in the first person. I'm like, it's go time. I'm playing around about this. It took longer to park. It took longer to get all the equipment in because my sister brought her guitar and piano, and we had to get all that set up on a deck outside a house we've never been to before with people we've never met before. You talk about us getting into it, folks. And I said, we're getting to the piano. We are getting to the piano. And we just need to start worshiping. And I was going to pull in water songs about the water. And there's a song we sing a lot at church. And the bridge of it goes, there's healing in the water. There's freedom in the water. Oh, Jesus, you're the river and we'll never find the end. And I just sing this over and over. So I'm singing this over the river. I'm singing this to just settle people down. They were not expecting that to happen in the morning. They were staying all weekend. It was a whole Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. Women were kind of coming in, coming out. Not everybody was staying the whole time. Women in the balance, questioning if they should even come. All this stuff was happening in the minds of these women. And then all of a sudden it just got in a tizzy because things did not start out right. And so we're getting to worship. So we start worshiping. We're singing songs about the alabaster jar, majesty, which is just about songs of surrender, basically. And then we finished with that, and we're about 45 minutes doing that. My sister never got her guitar tuned because it took too long for us to get set up. We couldn't get the regular monitor to work, but thankfully she had the small one. The mic was kind of going in and out. Okay, so here's just distractions, y'all. Distractions. You could say, well, you're not prepared, Micah. Okay, well, this was our first time doing this, and using my sister's equipment in places. She's used it many other places, but this is just the day in life sometimes when you're working on healing. When you are walking with people that for a retreat, a workshop, if you want to call it, and our focus was on brokenness and healing, yeah, there's usually going to be some distractions. So then we move on in, and they had gotten us lunch. We started an hour past what we had planned. So it took an hour to get us set up. So in my opinion, we were an hour behind. And we had things to do. So I had multiple activities that we were going to have. And so I gave them literally 15 minutes for lunch. I said, find your seat. You can eat while we do this. We're going to watch this video. And so we started with the video of the alabaster jar. And I read this first, and it goes like this. Ladies, I hope you are getting the picture that we can't outrisk his faithfulness. We watched the video of Mary getting the jar of ointment and negotiating that with the trade woman, or perfume artisan, if you want to call it, and then her washing Jesus's feet in that account. And then afterwards, I said, there was a lyric to a song that I was playing the day that I had my fever. I started playing the song over and over, and the name of the song is Can't Outrisk. We'll link that below. But the lyric of the song says, I believe in you. I've got your back when you don't know what to do. And that got me thinking about the story of Mary. Now, the fever, I sometimes, when I get really kind of sick, the inflammation starts to awaken. And that happened in COVID the first time. My back just felt like fire. And so that's what happened this time, that my back was under attack. My back was under attack. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing the song, I've got your back, man. I've got your back. And so in tears, in suffering, if you want to call it, because the fever, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. And my body was feeling somewhat achy. I wrote this: Mary had Jesus's back, even when she didn't know what to do within the confines of tradition. She is an example of taking a risk with extravagance and connecting it to worship. And that level of faith could not be denied, for the story of her faithfulness was too great to look away and to not be told. She held on to him, for she could feel their time was limited. Her heart led her way, and her way still wrecks us today. It was such a significant moment that 3 out of the 4 Gospels shared alabaster jar moments, 2 of them the same account, and there's one more. So I'm going to read to you a little bit of this account. It goes like this. Then Jesus went to Bethany and to the home of Simon, a man Jesus had healed of leprosy. A woman came into the house holding an alabaster flask filled with expensive fragrant oil. She came right to Jesus, and in the lavish gesture of devotion, she poured out the costly oil, and it cascaded over his head. And as he was at that table, when the disciples saw this, they were offended. What a total waste! They grumbled. He could have sold it for a great deal of money and given it to the poor. Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, "Why are you critical of this woman? She has done a beautiful act of kindness. You will always have someone poor whom you can help, but you will not always have me. When she poured the fragrant oil over me, she was preparing my body for burial. I promise you that when this wonderful gospel spreads all over the world, the story of her lavish devotion to me will always be mentioned in memory of her." And here we are over 2,000 years later, still telling the story. It says that spikenard is a spice taken from a plant that grows in northern India near the Himalayas. This costly perfume would have been carried overland to the Middle East. Many believe this jar of spikenard would have cost the average workers a year's wages. It was a common practice among the Jews to prepare a body for burial with a fragrant ointment. Her act of devotion is mentioned in 3 of the 4 Gospels. You cannot read the New Testament without knowing of Mary's worship of Jesus. It also goes on in another account. In Luke, it says it this way: afterwards, Simon, the Jewish religious leader, asked Jesus to his home for dinner. Jesus accepted the invitation. When he went to Simon's home, he took his place at the table. In the neighborhood, there was an immoral woman of the streets, known to all to be a prostitute. When she heard that Jesus was at Simon's house, she took an exquisite flask made with alabaster, filled it with the most expensive perfume, went right into the home of the Jewish religious leader, and in front of all the guests, she knelt at the feet of Jesus, broken and weeping. She covered his feet with the tears that fell from her face. She kept crying and drying his feet with her long hair. Over and over, she kissed Jesus' feet. Then, as an act of worship, she opened her flask and anointed his feet with her costly perfume. I hope you can picture this. When Simon saw what had happened, he thought, this man can't be a true prophet. If he were really a prophet, he would know what kind of a sinful woman is touching him. Jesus said, "Simon, I have a word for you. Go ahead, teacher. I want to hear it." He answered, "It's a story about 2 men who were deeply in debt. One owed the bank $100,000 and the other only owed $10,000. When it was obvious that neither of them were able to repay their debts, the kind banker graciously wrote off the debts and forgave them all that they owed. Tell me, Simon, which of the 2 debtors would be more thankful? Which one would love the banker most?" Simon answered, "I suppose it would be the one with the greater debt forgiven." "You're right," Jesus agreed. Then he spoke to Simon about the woman still weeping at his feet. Do you see this woman kneeling here? She is doing for me what you didn't bother to do. When I entered your home as your guest, you didn't think about offering me water to wash the dust off my feet. Yet she came into your home and washed my feet with her many tears and then dried my feet with her hair. You didn't even welcome me into your home with a customary kiss of greeting. But from the moment I came in, she has not stopped kissing my feet. You didn't take the time to anoint my head with fragrant oil, but she anointed my head and feet with the finest perfume. She has been forgiven all her many sins. This is why she has shown me such extravagant love. For those who assume they have very little to be forgiven will love me very little. Then Jesus said to the woman at his feet, all your sins are forgiven. All the dinner guests said among themselves, who is the one who can even forgive sins? Then Jesus said to the woman, your faith in me has given you life. Now you may leave and walk in the ways of peace. Walk in the ways of peace. There are 6 accounts in the Gospels where people got down on came to Jesus's feet. The sinful woman mentioned in this verse who poured out her worship and tears at Jesus's feet. The demonized man who worshiped at Jesus's feet. Jairus who fell at his feet pleading for a miracle for his daughter. For Mary who sat at his feet and received his word. The healed leper who fell at his feet in deep gratitude. And those who worshiped Jesus at his resurrection when he showed them his hands and his feet. Simon thought Jesus, these are some footnotes. Simon thought Jesus should have known the sinfulness of the woman, but Simon should have known the love of the one next to him, who was ready to forgive and restore. Religion focuses on the sinfulness of a person, but faith sees the glory of the one who forgives and heals. Twice in Luke's gospel, we hear Jesus say, all your sins are forgiven. Once he says it to a man, and here to a woman. The proof of her sins being forgiven is her love. With the healed man, it was his life, for he took up his bed and walked. 7 means completeness. And Mary Magdalene was completely possessed by demons. But Jesus restored her true self and cast out her demons. To travel with a rabbi was considered a high honor. Yet it was not permitted in the culture in the time of Jesus' ministry for a woman to be mentored by a rabbi. Jesus elevated women into a place of honor and respect. In spite of the cultural limitations, it was these wealthy women who provided for Jesus' care. Luke is the one gospel writer who brings out the many times Jesus honored women. These women would later be present at the crucifixion and the resurrection. Mary Magdalene was the first human being to see the risen Christ. Y'all, I hope that these things get you a little bit fired up about the women in the Bible. Women do courageous things. Women help fund ministries. Women sacrifice much, and their stories are still being told. Women expose their brokenness in the stories. And so I went on to read that and share a part of Ben's testimony and give these women the account of those 4 days leading up to Ben's celebration service, or love fest as I like to call it. And I gave an account of a friend who took 8 years before she ever got pregnant, and some of the things that she went through along the way, but yet a miracle happened in her life. For God gets the glory for every uncommon story. And I said, I don't want to be common anymore. I want to be uncommon. I want to have stories that are not like everyone else, but they're spirit stories. They're God stories. They're God-breathed experiences in our lives. And so then we moved back outside, and we had the opportunity to have communion together. So my sister got on the piano and instrumentally played for at least an hour and a half. And then I read this account to the ladies. The title of it is from Matthew 13, Parables of Hidden Treasure and an Extraordinary Pearl. Heaven's kingdom realm can be illustrated like this. A person discovered that there was hidden treasure in a field. Upon finding it, he hid it again because of uncovering such treasure. He was overjoyed and sold all that he possessed to buy the entire field, just so he could have that treasure. Heaven's kingdom realm is also like a jewel merchant in search of rare pearls. When he discovered one very precious and exquisite pearl, he immediately gave up all he had in exchange for it. It is more plausible to view the hidden treasure as a symbol of you and me. Jesus is the man who sold all that he owned, leaving his exalted place of glory to come and pay for the sin of the whole world with his own blood, just so he could have you, his treasure. Heaven's kingdom realm is experienced when we realize what a great price Jesus places on our souls, for he gave his sacred blood for us. The exchange of the treasure is a hint of our new life hidden in God. You are his pearl of great price, and I'm here to tell you, you are so worth it. And then I found this clip on Facebook from one of my friends and co-board member, Judy Hawkins Dunn. She posted this, and I said, your timing is too good. And it goes like this. Did you know an oyster that has not been wounded in any way does not produce pearls? So a pearl is a healed wound. Pearls are the product of pain, the result of a foreign or unwanted substance entering the oyster, such as a parasite or a grain of sand. Inside of the oyster shell is a shiny substance called nacre. When the grain of sand enters, the nacre cells go to work and cover the grain of sand with layers and more layers to protect the defenseless body from the oyster. As a result, a beautiful pearl is formed. The more pearls, the more valuable. God never allows pain without a purpose. What if your greatest ministry to others comes out of your greatest hurt? Romans 8:17 and 18. The hard things we may be going through now are really nothing in comparison to the glory that will be revealed in us later. And so we were able to take communion. And then I asked the ladies to come up 2 by 2 and with the team, one washing their feet, one running to get more hot water, and myself laying hands on them. We got to pray for every lady and wash their feet, y'all. And let me tell you, it is a humbling thing to sit and receive. And we had the honor to do that for 13 ladies. And it took some time. And the Father gave me words that I can't even repeat to you or remember. But they spoke to each one of them individually. They said, you don't know us. I said, but the Father does. Praise God for him being able to move through me and say things that were personal to them. And then after that was done, they all sat down and we asked them to close their eyes. And then we had a gift bag for each one of them. And inside there, we had a notebook, a little notebook for them. We had a little My Mended Heart book. We had some pearl earrings for each one. We had a gold bedazzled pen for them to write with, and that looks kind of royal. And then we had mixed together some essential oils with some oil in a roller ball. And we used that for every lady that we washed their feet with, the fragrance. And it had frankincense, myrrh, and valor. So when we walked in that day, it smelled pretty bad. And when we left, with us going in and out and the windows being open, we had no trace of it anymore. We did not smell any of it. It cleared. We cleared house. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And we were there, and from 11 till 3:30, this experience happened. And I hope they loved on that it was a lavish experience with some of the layers to the expressions of love that we shared with them in the words from the Father. I'm going to have the link for the chosen scene that we used and some pictures to go along with this weekend of how beautiful everything was. So I hope you have enjoyed this little story time with Micah weekend. And I believe that the Lord had his way. I believe that he was able to use us. And thank you for coming along with us. I have to let you know that we applied for a grant, and they have let me know that as of this week that they are going to give us some funds to continue doing this widow walk here locally. And so I'm letting you know that God is providing, and he's got our back, and he believes in the widow, and he provides for the widow, and he can give dreams and new vision to a widow. And she's walking kind of on the water sometimes, but she's realizing that the longer she walks on the water, the stronger she feels about the Father, and the stronger she feels to actually walk on that water, and to not even feel that it feels like a risk, but a cascading dance, if you want to call it, a rewarding walk with the Father. And so stay expectant, y'all. Be looking out for the good you can do. There are so many people that are going through tough stuff right now, and they need us. They need us to be full of faith, to bring our joy, and use our expressions of love as many ways and as many times as we can. Happy Monday. See you next week.